Hello, London. We are ready for your vote.
Hello there, I'm Stephen Perkins, and this is Douzepoir. It is 10:34 on Tuesday, the 13th of May, as we're recording this, which means the first semi-final of Eurovision 2025 has just finished. So, of course, I'm here to discuss what went down, and I am delighted to be joined by beloved friends of the pod, Cat Stephens and AJ Clay. Cat, AJ, welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Great to have you both back with us at this incredibly late hour of the night. At one point, I did think that show was just not going to finish, ever.
The never-ending semi.
Well, it's the 69th Eurovision, so...
Nice.
Anyway, right.
This is a family podcast.
Not anymore.
My mother's never going to forgive me. Right, let's get straight into it. We know now our first 10 qualifiers for Saturday's grand final, and they are, in the order of announcement, Norway, Albania, Sweden, Iceland, Netherlands, Poland, San Marino, Estonia, Portugal, and Ukraine. Now, I don't know about the two of you. I was having a small moment on the sofa thinking we were about to see Ukraine's unbroken qualification streak completely annihilated tonight.
I was terrified. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
They looked terrified.
Yeah.
I was terrified. Oh.
Yeah, and after, because I thought it was their least strong song they've sent in a few years, but I thought they did much better than I was expecting. So I thought, oh, come on, I'm rooting for you, Ukraine, come on.
Yeah, I think we were sort of saying on our sofa that it's one of those things where if anyone other than Ukraine hadn't sent this song, it probably wouldn't be considered a contender at all, because it's the sort of song that doesn't tend to do very well at Eurovision. But I think one thing that probably helped them is I don't think it was a particularly strong performance semi-final tonight. I think there were a lot of people who were quite weak vocally, who I kind of thought would be a lot better. Who did? I mean, the one plaudit I'm going to give out for amazing live performance was Albania. I thought Albania absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, she smashed it, and I wasn't really expecting much from the national final, but I think they really stepped it up. And also the contrast between Beatrice's amazing vocals and grumpy dude whose name I can't remember. Serious. Yeah, that I thought it was a really good contrast. It worked really well. So,
It was very not Eurovision in its way, because like they said in the postcard, they've never watched it before until like last year, and they just turn up with this like electronic banger, and you're just like, yes, Albania, continue to deliver.
Yeah, I felt like Albania were doing this year kind of what Armenia did last year, was they just brought something that nobody else was doing, and it just really, really worked for them. And they came on stage with such... Well, she did come with a lot of confidence. He looked absolutely terrified, bless him. I don't blame him. I would have been terrified as well.
Yeah, the only weird thing about it is there's such a big stretch in the middle of that song with no singing.
Yes.
And she's really good at singing. Why do that? It's such an odd choice.
But yeah, I'm really pleased to see them through, and I think they really sort of stood out as being one of the strongest performers of the night. Let's talk about some of the non-qualifiers, because there was a couple of shocks in there. I was expecting Cyprus to absolutely walk it. I was very, very surprised that they didn't get through.
The thing with Cyprus was that I kind of, when it was revealed, I was like, okay, the video was very cool, but the thing that didn't really sell it to me was there's a lot of that sort of speak singing. There was not enough singing in the thing. There wasn't any hooky bits to kind of get me. And while I kind of liked the staging, it was very Vitruvian Man, but like that's not enough to kind of sell it for me. It just has to have a fairly good song attached, and I don't know, it just didn't do it for me.
I thought the staging was quite confusing, to be honest. I wasn't quite sure what was going on with the old Lego Technics there. And the vocals wasn't strong enough to put it together.
I think if you're familiar with the studio version as well, and you kind of know how he really hits that like strong high note in the studio version, and I was sat there listening to it going, he's not going to make that. Like he's not even going to try for it, because he's too worn out from doing his pull-ups on his scaffolding. So
yeah, that's the thing. You can either sing live or you can do a complicated dance routine. None of the twain shall meet.
Or you could be Brislana, who did both.
Oh, you could be Brislana. Yeah, true. Okay, fair.
And Belgium also, I think, a lot of people were rating that. I personally, I was not a big fan of this one anyway. I thought the vocals weren't great on the night, and I didn't really like the staging very much. So I'm surprised it didn't get through, because there was a lot of support for it on a personal level, I was less surprised because it didn't really appeal to me.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was a lot of support for it, and I think it was a great step up from. I wasn't a fan of last year's Belgium. I thought it was a bit too kind of downbeat ballad twink, but at least this was. I think it was the best of an average lot in the national final. So I was a little bit sad to see him go, but it was. I think there was a lot of good bangers. I think he probably just got crowded out in the semi.
Yeah, I was always worried about Belgians, like the first third of their song, because the vocal, you really need to be able to nail that sort of like soft, whispery intro, and it wasn't there tonight. The high notes, great. And I really like the doppelganger staging. I thought that was a bit of a step up from national final, but yeah, a bit disappointing.
I think I'm going to reuse reference here that I made when AJ came on the pod a few weeks ago. Was that it looked like it was staged in a Nintendo Virtual Boy because it was all red and black, and then there was a bit where it looked like Lemmings because he was stood there in all of these.
Oh yes, and then they all just come out the side.
I was sat there going da 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 da. But anyway, what else can we say about? So I think those were probably the two shock non-qualifiers. I think the two surprise qualifiers probably were Portugal and Iceland, because I think they were both kind of borderline. Portugal, I'm thrilled for them because that felt so kind of anti-commercial what they were sending. So I'm thrilled people actually liked it.
I really loved that because, I mean, I watched the whole national final and the voting was very stressful, and they kind of got through on a bit of they squeaked through on a sort of one vote technicality, I think it was, but I love that got through because it just seems very authentic and kind of six musicy indie downbeaty, the sort of thing that you just want to chill out to, and I like that got through to just, you know, have a little time out between the bangers.
Yeah.
Like,
a shout out to the pianist's jumper. Oh, so
right.
It looked lovely.
Oh yes, yeah.
Excellent choice.
You and I both had that in our notes, didn't we? We were like, "That's a really nice jumper." So I'm yeah. Maybe that's what the votes were for. People were voting for the jumper.
It could be. It's very hot on that stage, so that's dedication.
it's all about the knitwear this year.
I would like to say, while we just talk about the contest as a whole, not a fan of it constantly being referred to as ESC. That got on my nerves after a while. I suppose it beats Eurovision, which I know people aren't a fan of.
Oh God, I'm guilty of Eurovision all the time. Sorry, everyone.
No, it's fine. I was sat behind Mel Gedroich at the theatre last night, so I feel like I should defend. Clang,
Did you go up to her and go, "I loved your work in the Eurovision"?
No, but apparently, I'm reliably informed she gave my backpack the kind of the wary eye as she was walking past my seat, and I'd left it unattended. So she's very vigilant as well, Gedroich. Anyway, I've just dropped that name. But yeah, the ESC-ness of it I found slightly irritating, but I did think the hosts were good. They had a very tough job with all of that filler towards the end, where it was clear that they were really, really filling for time.
Yeah, I'm told by someone who's currently in Basel that yes, it was indeed. They basically had to spend longer verifying the votes for whatever reason. So they presumably had their earpiece going, Phil, more Phil, more Phil, and you feel for them because you're like, okay, English isn't your first language. The patter has been okay. I think we were kind of, well, it's okay, but it was just starting to wear so thin by the end. We're kind of going, come on, checking our clocks.
Yeah, it was a shame because I thought the interval skit was one of the best we've had in a long time. I loved that.
Really enjoyed that. That was just and surprised Petramida as well, which is never a bad thing.
We love Petramida.
I mean, yeah,
amazing.
As William Tell, as gender bent William Tell. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, although I will call shenanigans about Switzerland claiming to invent the internet. I mean, yeah.
The World Wide Web, maybe.
Citation needed.
We'll let them have it. They've had a lot. I think I really enjoyed all of the little kind of historical nods to kind of Switzerland's history of Eurovision and being the birthplace of the contest. I thought that was lovely, and I thought it was really nice. And of course, seeing Celine on the video, I got quite emotional. I freely admit. I mean, I always get very emotional during Eurovision, but I'm an absolute mess by the end of it, even the semi-finals, and seeing Celine there looking genuinely upset that she couldn't be there just really, really finished me off.
Yeah, snazzy blazer as well. Yeah, like I don't know. It was lovely to see her.
And also, just it felt like you were talking with like your really cool nan friend or whatever. Like she was just like, "Oh, I know, it's been so long since I have represented," and you're just like, "So true, bestie." Like it was so nice to see her looking so well as well, and just
yeah, definitely,
back,
then,
back in action.
And then having that sort of class of 2024 performance of Ne partez pas sans moi was nice as well. I thought that was just kind of really that hit me in all the right places. I think that was just really.
It was so nice to have Sylvester back.
Yes, looking good. Loving that slightly sort of David Byrne outfit.
Right, Lord.
And Marina Sati just looking beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I know. God, I'm so jealous of Marina Sati all the time. What do we think about the overall kind of impact of this this semi-final? I feel like I was sort of sat here watching it going, this doesn't feel like it's a great kind of call to arms for the show. It feels like we haven't maybe started with some of the weaker songs. We had some of the weaker performances. I'm kind of hoping Thursday semi-final feels stronger than this one did, because it did feel at times when they were saying 5 people had to go, I was sat there thinking, well, only 5?
Yeah, I mean, it did feel, I don't know, like sort of Eurovision by numbers a little bit. It did feel like if you were like a newcomer to the contest, I think it would feel kind of, I mean, I suppose it's a bit of a stereotype to say, it is Switzerland. They're trying to be neutral and safe and just not have, obviously a lot of stuff went down in Malmö last year. So I think they were just trying to get back to some kind of baseline.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I didn't envy the people who had to host it this year after everything that happened last year, because I think I said this at the time. You can afford to have like one bad Eurovision. You can't afford to have 2 in a row. Like if everything kicks off again this year, then that's very damaging for the format, for the franchise, for the brand. So there was a lot of pressure on Switzerland this year, I think, to kind of have a very kind of everything is fine, everything is calm, thing going on. And I think by and large they managed that in this opener, and I quite liked the little kind of nod to Malmö that they had, where they said it automatically inviting comparisons to the hosts and all that sort of thing, and it felt like it was a more balanced hosting team, because last year it did feel like Petra Mede is up here and Malin Ackermans was kind of there to be on camera when Petra Mede had to run off somewhere else to hit her mark in time for the next bit. And
Malin was also here.
Yeah, exactly. And no disrespect to her, because this is not what she does for a living, and she was kind of learning on the job kind of thing, and she did a reasonable job under the circumstances. But obviously, up next to Petra Mede, she was never really going to kind of be at the same level. And this felt like it was 2 people working on the same level, and very much working as a team, which I really, really liked.
Yeah, and eye-watering outfits as well. Top marks, both of them.
I absolutely loved that jacket, but I will say, like, I liked it, but then the first thing that also sprung to mind was, when you were in primary school and you used to paint pasta shapes and stick them on a bit of paper. That was the vibe, but sparklier.
Yeah. I saw a lot of people saying that Hassel was giving Cara Delevingne as well, which...
Yes, she did look a lot like Cara Delevingne.
I'm trying to think of other memorable moments from this one. Poor Switzerland as well during their performance, getting cleaned, as I believe we call it now, when when the camera just breaks in the middle of your performance.
I love that it was like, it's going to be the first continuous shot. It's going to be great. Nothing's going to go wrong with that. And we were just sitting on the sofa waiting for oh, there it is. Have you done this over wireless, lads? Have you not paid your bill?
It did feel like
it's a shame after they built it up so much. Oh no.
But then they built it up, and I was sat there sort of thinking that actually it was kind of yes, it was a continuous camera shot. They weren't doing a lot with it, and I think a few of us were saying as well there were at least 2 people stealing Barbara Pravi's camera work.
Yeah. It's a very kind of dizzy camera work. I don't really get on with it, because I think I'm kind of just sitting there going, "Oh, stop!" Like, it's too shaky. I don't like it.
Also, it kind of looked like she wasn't there. It looked like it was being filmed in a different segment somewhere and then piped in.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the lighting or whatever.
I think You have to be careful of that at Eurovision as well, because if it looks too much like it's an on-video thing, then that tends to go down quite badly with the voters, doesn't it? So you have to be very wary of that. And it did look a little... the other thing I noticed was performances where it looked like the people were AI. Did anyone have that tonight? Like... Ukraine's female singers at one point, I was like, are these computer generated, or are they just wearing very shiny makeup? And kind of the same with Cloud from the Netherlands at one point. He was just very kind of shiny, and I was sat there going, it's something.
I think there was a bit of the AI slop going on in general, though. I mean, I don't know about kind of like the actual performers being touched up, but I think a lot of the computer-generated backgrounds looked a bit sus to me. And given that Junior Eurovision was absolutely rife with it, I was kind of already on the lookout for it, going, no.
Yeah, I spotted it a couple, and it was really jarring. Like Iceland's strange. It looked proper 90s virtual reality graphics, and I was like, that's fine because it's like a very fun, playful, cartoonish song. So fair enough. But yeah, when it was the Netherlands, when it's just such a great sort of ballad and really strong vocal, and it's just really distracting having all of that camera trickery going on, and it just kind of spoiled it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't even think Cloud needed it. You know, let's say great vocals, great song. Was really happy to see him get through, and he just doesn't need any like gimmicky stuff.
Yeah. Also, kind of oversay this, very handsome man. Like, just very handsome man.
Honestly.
Very talented.
Yeah.
Lovely guy. So happy. Like, I really hope that he gets a good final placing, because I know historically the Netherlands and artists of colour have not, it's not ended well. So I hope it does.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas San Marino's like disco judge Dredd, like, this is baffling to me how that's got through.
The lore for that runs deeper than the time for this podcast allows, but I'm kind of obsessed with it because I don't know, it's a long story.
It was I think it was just quite good fun, wasn't it? I think people were up and dancing around, and that will get you quite far. And everyone loves the San Marino qualifier year at Eurovision, don't they? It's always nice when they make it through to the final.
Yeah, come on, did Flo Rida bomb in vain? Come on.
Now, Sweden. We should talk about Sweden quickly because they are favourites to win. Their odds seem to be shortening as time goes on. Great performance from them. I'm still not 100% certain I see this as an outright winner. I something about it. I'm not fully convinced. I can see it happening. I don't think it doesn't feel like it's an absolute nailed on thing for me yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the advantages, I watched with some friends on Discord tonight, and some of them are not kind of in the bubble, like really in the fandom. So it was good to get their opinion on it. And I think it was kind of the same as what you were saying, Stephen. It's like, oh yeah, I like the song, but I don't know if it's a winner of a song. I mean, I think it was always going to go through. And, being in the bubble, I've been like, oh yeah, Stockholm 2026 or whatever. But I think it's definitely going to be, top 3, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe there's going to be a Sincere Ballad sneaks up and swipes it, or I don't know.
It was the only one I was singing along to this evening.
Yeah.
That's got to be worth a few points in my book.
Oh, for sure. And I don't get me wrong, I really, really like it. And I think they did a great performance of it. I think my only thing is I was trying to sort of put myself in the headspace of someone who hadn't been submerged in all these songs for months, and coming into it knowing that there was all this hype around Sweden. And I kind of thought, would you watch it and go, really? Like, would you be sat there going, this is the one that everyone's excited about? Would you be sat there going, I don't get it? Possibly. I'm trying to think of someone who isn't me at this point, which is always hard to do when you're very self-centered like I am.
Well, I think we could get some surprises, when they were showing Italy's performance, I thought he smashed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely smashed it. And having the subtitles up was genius as well, because it just immediately brings that sympathy of like, oh, you poor Poppet. Like,
and live instruments on stage.
Yeah. And like he apparently had to do a lot of kind of bureaucracy fighting in order to get that to happen, because they were like, oh no, you're not allowed it. And somehow he managed to, on a technicality, get the harmonica. And I'm like, yeah, go on, Lucio.
Yeah.
Harmonica Technicality, new album out there.
New band name.
Yeah, I think you can pull a shocker on Saturday.
Yeah, I did really enjoy that performance actually, and it felt so kind of sincere and heartfelt, which I think always goes a long way. If you just really feel like the person really believes in the song that they're singing, I think that can take you a long way.
And I like the message as well. It's all very, let's just bin toxic masculinity. I wanted to be a hard man, but I'm not. I'm Lucio.
Absolutely. Now, I won't keep everyone too long because it's very late at night, but...
Late, live and unhinged.
Definitely the last one. Given that we did have a few shocks in the qualifying tonight, do we think we are likely to see the same thing happen again on Thursday? Because that is the semi-final of death, and that's going to be very, very hard fought. So could we possibly see some of the presumed qualifiers maybe miss the mark on that one as well?
Ooh, I think I would be shocked if Erica Vickman didn't get through.
Yeah.
But I think there would be an actual riot in Basel if Vickman didn't get through.
Even that small clip of Erica Vickman that they showed at the end of tonight's show,
very small.
Literally just had some sort of meltdown watching about 3 seconds of it. So I can only imagine what 3 minutes of it is going to do to me.
Oh God, yeah. I do think there's a real risk though that faves are going to not qualify.
I think
I'm trying to think who might not.
Australia, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not a huge fan.
I'm not a huge fan of the Australian one either. But I think there's so many kind of hovering around between the sort of 8th place, 12th, 13th place boundary where it could go any number of ways. I'm still not sure about Luxembourg getting through. People seem to think that's getting through. I think that might slip. I really, really want Denmark to get through, just because I don't want Denmark to be never in the final, and Sissal seems so cool in all the social media stuff. I really love her.
She is so sweet, and I've been listening on the official Eurovision podcast, which is like YouTube and stuff. She's come across so well. She seems like such a laugh. She's one of us. She seems like a hardcore fan. Whatever. The song is pretty good, and I think it'd be a real shame if she was, like you say, continuing Denmark losing.
Yeah,
don't want it to happen.
Don't want it to
happen.
Denmark. Yeah, and Iceland got through tonight when I think a lot of us were thinking they weren't. So I'm kind of hoping that's there is.
We need a Nordic clean sweep, basically.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that Latvia make it through. I think it's borderline, but I love them.
We need our slightly sapphic forest fairies. Come on.
Yeah, and again, I think
so
Latvia doing something that's not existing elsewhere in the contest, so it would be really lovely to have them there on Saturday.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe they'll pull a Portugal, and just get through on being cool and unusual.
Yeah.
They've got their headdresses. I mean, that's half the battle won.
I do think it's going to be really interesting to see whether, the way tonight's contest went down, how that impacts the people who are performing on Thursday. Or is there going to be extra nerves because there are a couple of sort of hot favourites who didn't get through? Is that going to kind of make people more worried? Are people be more relaxed because it's show number 2? Because that sometimes happens, doesn't it? It'll be very, very interesting to see.
I think there's just a load of countries that've got nothing to lose at all, because they think this is such, the semi-final of death. And I was like, well, let's just go out and enjoy it then and not have too many expectations. And that means your vocal cords are relaxed and you will have a lovely time, and so will everybody else.
Well, exactly. Yeah, you might as well just go out and give it your all and hope that, it feels like a really painful... I think semi-final 2 is going to be a bit of a bloodbath, especially because... we get to vote in it. It feels like I kind of wanted to vote in this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I did. I really was sat there thinking, actually, I kind of feel like my vote would be more useful in this one, even though I know my vote is not useful in any of them, because it's such a tiny, tiny percentile of the votes cast, and it's going to make almost no difference. Oh goodness. We'll wrap up in a second, but we'll just quickly run through again. So the qualifiers are Norway, Albania, Sweden, Iceland, Netherlands, Poland, San Marino, Estonia, Portugal, and Ukraine. And any last thoughts on any of those that we haven't covered so far? I think are we all good?
I think
so. Apart from Norway, I know that this wasn't a huge departure from what we saw in national finals, but it just made me think of Jane Wheedlin in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure as Joan of Arc doing the exercise routine in the shopping mall. and just as out of breath as well. Bless him. Bless his little socks. His metal socks. I don't know.
I will say, like Norway along with Estonia were the two, like, I was kind of going, oh, when they got through, because cursed with knowing some Norwegian. Like, I know that when he was doing interviews, when he was in the national final, he came across a bit kind of, return to the old ways, because he was saying things like, I'm bringing back real Norwegian music. And I'm like, oh, are you? And then I saw his entry and I was like, is that real Norwegian? Are we sure we want to go down this route?
You're literally bringing back the entry you sent 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. For me, no.
I was sat there getting such strong deja vu from Norway. I was sat there like it's King of Queens as opposed to Queen of Kings,
but less good.
Yeah, it didn't help that we then had that countdown of like the most streamed songs. We actually got to see Queen of Kings again. And I was like, that's
I know,
better.
Painful, so much better.
And a load of Italian songs that are amazing, and I'm honestly thinking as Italy could, top 3, for sure.
Yeah, we do. And do you know what? I've seen a few people saying that based on the standard of the vocals tonight, that might actually bode really well for the United Kingdom, because whatever else people think of our song, those girls can sing. So if it's quite a rum night again, live vocals, that might score us a few points.
We'll see.
At least you can hold a tune. That's the bare minimum we're asking for, lads.
It doesn't feel like it's the most ringing endorsement of this contest so far, does it? But, we will see, because a lot can change. We've had iffy semi-finals before that have gone on to make for great finals, and sometimes it is just the case you have to weed out the chaff first, and then what you're left with is great. So it'll be very interesting to see what we've got time Thursday's show is over.
We will have Erica Vickman's massive microphone. That's what we'll have.
Erica Vickman spraying pyrotechnics everywhere.
Can't wait. Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything. So I would like to thank you both, AJ and Kat, for joining us on this very special, slightly impromptu, very, very late evening podcast. Giving up your evening for us. Really, really appreciate it.
No worries at all.
No worries, my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in. We will be back recording Thursday night for release on Friday morning with a response to Thursday night semi-final. So please do come back and join us for that one. Until next time, good night Europe and good morning Australia.